Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a look at my March 2026 TBR. If you're interested in seeing what books I want to read this month, please stick around. As I said in the introduction, today's video is going to be a look at my March 2026 TBR. Now, before we dive into the books that I have on my TBR, I want to be completely honest and tell you all that my goal for March 2026 is to mood read the entire month. March is my birthday month. My birthday is on March 1st, and I really just want to thoroughly enjoy every single book that I pick up this month. And I want every book that I pick up to be a book that I'm excited about, that is super intriguing to me, that I'm feeling very drawn to in the moment. And the best way to do that is to just mood read, right? And I definitely had that in mind when I was picking out my books for my March 2026 TBR. Pretty much every book on this TBR is a book that has really intrigued me or interested me recently. And so I do think that there's a good chance I'm going to read the majority of the books that are on my TBR, but I don't know that I'm going to complete this TBR because I'm just going to let my reading heart go where it wants to as we make our way through the month. With all of that said, let's talk about my first prompt for March 2026, which was to read a book that's on the bottom of my shelf. And when I get this prompt, because I've gotten it a few times in the past, I have always thought that it just makes sense to pick the last book that's on my physical TBR. And I do have my books in alphabetical order. So when I saw that I picked that prompt, I kind of instantly knew what book was at the end of my TBR, and I was already nervous. And that book is Alchemised by SenLinYu. This is quite a daunting book. I think this thing is close to 1,000 pages. It's a story that seems to really destroy people emotionally, which I'm nervous about. I can't tell you I'm not intimidated. I'm very intimidated, but I'm also very intrigued and curious and hopeful that I'm going to get to this month. Our next prompt for March 2026 is to read a book that takes place during the current season. And at the beginning of March, we are in the season of winter, and I instantly knew what book I wanted to pick for this prompt, and that is Brimstone by Callie Hart. I read Quicksilver last month in February. I really liked it, and it ended in a really interesting way. And since finishing it, I've been antsy to pick up the next book in the series. So finding a way to get it on my March TBR was perfect. I do know that this book takes place in a realm where there's a lot of cold and a lot of snow. So that makes sense for winter. So it does fulfill the prompt. And I'm just really interested to see where this series goes. I'm thoroughly intrigued by our female main character, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen with our romance because it's ending off in a pretty good spot at the end of book one, and I feel like that's not going to last. So I'm excited to pick this up this month and see what this series has in store. The third prompt that I have for my March TBR is to pick a book with an animal on the cover. And some of you may think that I cheated on this prompt, but I don't think that I did. I was kind of pulling some books off my physical TBR, seeing if they had an animal on the cover, and then I spotted this one and it instantly became what I wanted to pick for this prompt. And that book is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This is a young adult horror, I believe. I do not read horror very frequently. I've read less than a handful of horror books ever, and I've just been so curious to see how I would feel about this. I've actually purchased a couple of horror books recently. It's a genre where I feel like if I find the right things, I could like it. And I'm hoping this is one of those right things. I'm going with this being a person and us as humans being animals. I'm intrigued, I'm excited, I'm curious, and yeah, I can't wait to see how I feel about this. My next prompt for my March TBR is to read a book from an author that's new to me. And I knew immediately what I wanted to pick for this prompt because I have been desperate to read this book, and getting it on my TBR just makes so much sense. And that book is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This series has had a crazy resurgence lately, and I feel like I hear nothing but incredible things about this book, but also about the series in general. And I've been really intrigued and desperate to want to pick it up. This, I believe, is sci-fi fantasy. I do have a sci-fi challenge going on this year, and 2 months into the year, I haven't read a single sci-fi book. So I was excited to get something sci-fi onto my TBR. This is also one of my 26 books in 2026, so it works for that challenge as well. And yeah, I feel like when people describe this or when I've heard about this, it reminds me a little bit of Ready Player One, and that's exciting for me because I absolutely love that book. So if this is anything like this, I'm going to be very happy. And I've heard the audiobook is really, really good. I do have it on Audible, so I'm intending on immersion reading this, and I think this is going to be the first book that I pick up in March. Our next prompt is to read a book with a one-word title, and I ended up looking through my physical TBR and kind of pulling out different books that had one-word titles, and I was thinking of using a random number generator to pick the book, but because I really, really want to mood read this month, I thought it would be safer to just pick the most appealing thing to me. And that ended up being Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really, really love Taylor Jenkins Reid's historical fiction books. All of them have been fantastic to me. Many of them have been 5-star reads, and I've heard nothing but great things about Atmosphere. I'm excited to give this a read. I'm also hoping to pick up Project Hail Mary this month because I've heard that that book is fantastic, that the audiobook is great, and I do have access to the audiobook. And I believe the movie's coming out in March, and I love Ryan Gosling as an actor. So it's going to be really interesting potentially reading 2 books this month that are dealing with space and space travel. And for my last prompt for March 2026's TBR, we have to read a book with a title that starts with the. And similarly to one-word title, I was looking through my physical TBR and trying to pull out the books that started with the. But as I was making my way through, I realized that I didn't have any straight romances on my TBR for March. And this one just instantly seemed like the one to pick, and that is The Prospects by KT Hoffman. I don't know much about this other than it's a baseball romance. I don't think I've ever read a baseball romance before. I'm very, very excited to pick this up because I've seen people talk about it on Instagram, on YouTube, and I've heard nothing but great things. I do have this absolutely gorgeous version. This is from Afterlight. I just saw it online and I thought it was so pretty, and I knew I wanted to pick up this book. Like, the sprayed edges are adorable. I love the vintage feel of the cover, and yeah, the end pages, like, they're stunning. The book is signed, which is awesome. So I'm really glad I was able to get my hands on this version of it, on this copy of it. Look at the back end pages. Like, check that out. Like, they're so pretty. So I'm excited for this. I'm hopeful that I'm really going to like it. I want to really, really like it. And yeah, I'm happy I was able to get a romance on my TBR for March. And that is it for the books that are on my March 2026 TBR. If you have read any of the books that are on this TBR, please leave me some spoiler-free thoughts down below, particularly about The Prospects, because I definitely would like to know more of people's opinions about that, and Alchemized. Spoiler-free, please. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.